Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have to tell you, folks, this news caught my attention the moment I saw it. We've all been wondering where Maxie has been on General Hospital, and now it feels like we're finally getting a glimpse of the real story behind the silence. When I read Kirsten Storm's heartfelt message, I didn't see a television star trying to explain herself. I saw a woman who sounded tired, honest, and ready to make some difficult choices. I'll tell you what, that kind of honesty is something you don't come across every day. What really stayed with me was how she admitted that moving to Tennessee was the right decision, even though life isn't exactly easy for her right now. That hit me harder than I expected. Sometimes we all reach a point where we realize the place we've spent years calling home never truly felt like home at all. I think many of us, especially after a certain age, understand exactly what she means. You can build a successful career somewhere and still feel like your heart belongs somewhere else. The part that made me stop and think was when Kirsten talked about her childhood. Imagine spending nearly your entire life in front of cameras before you even finished elementary school. She explained that moving to California wasn't really her decision, it was a choice made by her parents so she could chase an acting career. And to be fair, that decision gave us one of the most memorable characters General Hospital's ever had. I've watched Maxie grow through heartbreak, laughter, and every wild twist Port Charles could throw at her. But reading Kirsten's words reminded me that while Maxie was growing up on our television screens, Kirsten herself was growing up inside an industry that became the only life she ever knew. I found myself nodding when she admitted she sometimes envied people living what she called the real world. Now, that doesn't mean she regrets becoming an actress. Not at all. In fact, she sounded incredibly grateful for everything her career has given her. But there was something deeply human about hearing someone say they've spent decades working so hard that they barely had the chance to discover who they were outside of that career. Bless her heart, that's a feeling a lot more people can relate to than they might admit. Then came the moment that really changed the tone for me. Kirsten explained that becoming a mother to Harper completely changed the way she looked at life. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. I've seen it happen to friends, family members, and plenty of people over the years. Priorities shift. Suddenly, success isn't measured by awards, contracts, or screen time. It's measured by time spent with the people who matter most. When she reflected on her health struggles and how they taught her just how precious time really is, I couldn't help but feel she was speaking from a place that only life's toughest lessons can teach. Of course, another part of her message immediately got fans talking. Kirsten addressed the situation involving her former husband, Brandon Barash. Instead of fueling rumors or creating more drama, she calmly explained that they were simply working through a disagreement as divorced parents and that she believed it would eventually be resolved. Personally, I appreciated that approach. These days, it seems like every disagreement between celebrities turns into headlines and endless speculation, but she asked people not to assume there was some bigger crisis unfolding. To me, that sounded less like damage control and more like someone trying to protect her family, especially their daughter, from unnecessary attention. When I reached the end of Kirsten's message, I found myself reading those last few lines twice. They weren't dramatic, and they certainly weren't written to grab attention. If anything, they sounded like the words of a mother who has finally decided to protect what matters most. She thanked everyone for their kindness, but gently asked fans to stop speculating because her daughter is now old enough to search the internet, read comments, and see the stories people create. I'll tell you something that really stayed with me. We often think gossip is harmless because it's happening online between strangers, but children don't see it that way. They don't separate rumors from reality. They simply read words about their parents, and those words can stay with them for a very long time. Hearing Kirsten say that reminded me that there is a little girl growing up behind all of these headlines, and she deserves a childhood that isn't filled with endless internet speculation. The more I thought about it, the more I admired the way she handled the situation. She didn't attack anyone. She didn't accuse the media or the fans of doing something terrible. She simply reminded everyone that she and Brandon Barash are divorced parents trying to work through a disagreement. That's life. Millions of families experience disagreements after divorce. The only difference is that most people don't have thousands of strangers discussing every little detail online. In my opinion, she showed a great deal of maturity by asking for privacy instead of adding fuel to the fire. These days, it feels like so many public figures rush to defend themselves or argue with people on social media. Kirsten took the opposite approach. She spoke honestly, explained only what she felt comfortable sharing, and then politely asked everyone to respect her family's boundaries. To me, that says a lot about the person she has become. Thinking back over the past year, I can understand why fans have been asking so many questions. Kirsten stepped away from General Hospital back in August of 2025, and it left a noticeable hole in the show. Maxie Jones has never been the kind of character who quietly blends into the background. She's funny, emotional, outspoken, loyal, and somehow manages to bring warmth into almost every storyline she touches. When someone like Maxie suddenly disappears, viewers naturally want answers. We become attached to these characters after watching them for years, sometimes even decades. They almost begin to feel like neighbors or old friends we check in with every afternoon. At first, many of us believed her absence would only be temporary. We figured she would take care of what she needed to take care of and then come right back to Port Charles. But as more time passed, it became clear that real life was demanding more attention than television ever could. She wasn't simply taking a vacation. She was packing up her life, leaving Los Angeles behind, settling into Tennessee, adjusting to an entirely different environment, and at the same time, continuing to deal with health issues that had already affected her life for quite some time. Folks, that's a lot for anyone to carry, whether they're famous or not. I also have to give credit to the General Hospital writers because they faced a difficult challenge. When a longtime actor needs to step away unexpectedly, the writers have to find a believable explanation without completely closing the door on the character's future. Their solution was certainly dramatic. Maxie becoming the victim of Jen Sidwell's actions and falling into a coma gave viewers an emotional storyline while also allowing Kirsten the time she genuinely needed away from the cameras. Watching Maxie lying unconscious was painful because we've watched this woman survive heartbreak, loss, dangerous situations, and countless emotional storms over the years. Seeing such a vibrant character suddenly become silent felt almost unnatural. Then came February of 2026, and I remember feeling genuinely hopeful. Maxie finally woke up from her coma, and for a brief period, it looked like the story was turning a corner. I thought to myself, maybe this is it. Maybe she's finally coming home for good. I imagine plenty of longtime viewers felt exactly the same way. Unfortunately, that excitement didn't last very long. She only remained part of the story for about a month before disappearing once again. Looking back now, I think many of us were focusing on what we wanted as viewers instead of what Kirsten actually needed as a person. We wanted Maxie back because we missed her. Kirsten needed something entirely different: time, stability, healing, and a chance to build a life that didn't revolve around rushing back to a television studio before she was ready. Then June arrived, and Kirsten spoke openly once again. She admitted that she simply wasn't comfortable returning to Los Angeles to continue filming. I know those words disappointed a lot of fans. There were probably viewers who hoped she was about to announce an official return date. Instead, she chose honesty. Personally, I appreciate honesty far more than promises that can't be kept. It takes courage to tell people something they don't necessarily want to hear, especially when those people have supported your career for decades. What struck me most was that she never sounded bitter about General Hospital. She didn't criticize the show. She didn't complain about the cast or the production. She spoke respectfully about her career while making it clear that her personal life had reached a point where different priorities had taken over. That's an important distinction. Sometimes people assume that when an actor leaves a show, there must be conflict behind the scenes. In Kirsten's case, I don't see evidence of that. I see someone whose life simply changed. Becoming a mother changed her perspective. Her health challenges changed her perspective. Moving across the country changed her perspective. Life has a way of doing that to all of us. The older I get, the more I realize success means different things at different stages of life. When we're younger, success often looks like promotions, awards, recognition, or achieving dreams we've chased for years. Later on, success can become much simpler. Having good health, spending dinner with your family, watching your child grow up, waking up in a place that truly feels like home. Listening to Kirsten describe Tennessee, I couldn't help but feel she was finally chasing a different kind of success, one that isn't measured by ratings or television appearances, but by peace of mind. As I finished reading everything Kirsten shared, I didn't come away feeling sad as much as hopeful. Hopeful that Tennessee truly becomes the home she's been searching for all these years. Hopeful that her health continues moving in the right direction. Hopeful that she and Brandon Barash are able to settle their disagreement privately and continue raising their daughter with the love and respect she clearly deserves. And yes, I'll admit it, I'm also hopeful that one day she'll decide she's ready to return to Port Charles. If that day eventually comes, I have no doubt fans will welcome her back with open arms. But if it takes another year or even longer, I honestly think that's okay too. General Hospital's always been about family, resilience, forgiveness, and finding strength after difficult times. In a strange way, Kirsten Storms is living out those same themes in her own life. Sometimes the most meaningful story isn't the one written into a television script. Sometimes it's the one unfolding quietly behind the scenes, where real people are making difficult choices for the people they love. And after reading her words, I truly believe that's the story worth remembering the most.